back with our final guest today, and I'm blessed to have this gentleman in. He's a friend of mine. He does a lot of great stuff. He's a fellow veteran. He's got a cool ringtone on his phone, all of that stuff. And so very happy to have him here. Without further ado, I will let my friend introduce himself to the world. On that note, the floor is yours, brother.
All right, my apologies for not having my ringer turned off.
That's the worst that happens to us today. We'll make it, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me, Caleb.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you calling me and asking me to come on the show and talk, share my heart about the things that I'm involved with here in Victoria since I've moved back home.
You wear quite a few hats, my friend.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to have you come in and talk about it.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I moved to Victoria, I think, in 1988. Unfortunately, my mother passed away, and I had an aunt here, and I moved in with her and my cousins and went to Stroman, and I was just welcome to the community at that point. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of good people I went to school with were like, "Hey, man, nice to meet you. Glad you're here." You know, stuff like that, and started hanging out with some really good people. And when I was 17, I raised my hand, took my first oath of enlistment for the Army National Guard right here in the unit in Victoria. Served there for 7.5 years before I finally got the itch to go active duty. I couldn't go right away because I'd actually dropped out of school, got my GED.
Okay.
So that was a challenge for me, but I used the GI Bill to kind of get me ahead.
To overcome that. Yeah.
That's right. And I got enough college and finally went active duty. I joined the Navy at that point. Served 9 years with the Navy, switched back over to the Army, regular Army, I got accepted into a program, warrant officer program, from the Navy directly, and I served another almost 9 years, I think it was.
So I got to ask, you did Navy and Army and National, what was the favorite?
The most fun I had was probably in the Navy, absolutely.
I was going to say, you know, my little brother, as we talked previously, you know, he
was a SEAL
for about 10.5 years out there, and he may or may not have been a little rowdy at some points, but he did a great job. And as we discussed, I was Air Force, and you guys like to pick on us for whatever reason, you know. And, but no, it works out. And thank you for your service. You know, you served quite a bit, and you didn't let that in when you came home. You chose to continue to try to further the mission by supporting veterans and stuff. And I'll let you talk about a little bit. You work out at the, well, why don't you just tell us?
So, you know, that heart of service we learned that we get from the military carries over, like, what am I going to do now? Well, I found the American Legion through, y'all know him, Colonel Mike Petros.
Yes, sir.
He invited me out to a steak night one night, and I came out, and I was like, man, this is like going to grandma's house, and all your cousins are there, and everybody's just family. Communal dining, and the camaraderie was just incredible. And I ended up joining from there. Ended up becoming commander of the post pretty quickly. They liked me, I guess.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I was like, hey, whatever you want me to do, we want you to be commander. I'm like, sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes,
all right, I got you. So did that for a couple of years. Elected me twice. I guess they liked what I was doing. Didn't want me to see me go, but I wanted to kind of let somebody else come in and have the opportunity to serve and learn in that capacity, and opened me up to go on and do other things. Well, I immediately got picked up as district zone commander. Wasn't looking for it, but they asked me. I said, well, okay. And so I got 7 other posts that I'm supposed to kind of look over and help and be a liaison to the district commander and things like that. So there's so many things.
Just on a side note,
running out of time.
Just so you know, on a side note though, when I was kind of putting together who was going to come talk and stuff, and your name was mentioned to me several times in the fondest of terms. They really appreciate what you do. They appreciate, you know, what you bring to the table and how you help and your passion for it, and it's not unnoticed, you know, and so I just wanted to let you know, you know, one veteran to another, but it's the endorsement of your peers. It's the fellow guys that, when I talked to him, that lifted you up and let me know that he's solid, you know, like, you know, I knew it for myself, but when you hear it from others and you hear it from our community, it tends to mean the most. And I just wanted to let you know that they appreciate what you're doing. They appreciate the extra burden that you take upon yourself to help others. And you know, because even those things like those steak nights and stuff, like, there's a lot of work behind the scenes to make all that happen. It's not just you're going up there to high five and party and all that kind of stuff at all. I mean, this is work in it. And so I just wanted you to know that you're appreciated, and they are very grateful for what you do.
Whoever said that, and you guys and gals out there, I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir, and it was very sincere, and they meant it. And on that'll kind of segue us in. One of the things that the American Legion does and does so well that you briefly touched on was steak night, and I believe you guys have one coming up this week. And Tell us a little bit about what is steak night and what is this particular one, the mission that this one is going to accomplish and serve.
Well, thanks for asking about that. We've been doing steak night long before I ever joined the Legion here, and it's the first Friday of every month. Some of the military branches you may remember have the tradition, first Fridays, and the commander takes you to go have a steak and a beer or whatever. And so it's kind of that concept that they adopted. And this particular steak night, last year I introduced Toys for Tots boxes at the entryway when we had steak night. Didn't really bite off a whole lot on that because Toys for Tots is everywhere. But this year the idea was to bring a new unwrapped toy, about $15, $20 value, whatever, in that range. And we're going to give you the steak dinner. The Legion's going to pay for that. You come bring that toy, you're going to get the dinner.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And that's going to be for kids in the Crossroads area?
Absolutely. That's our local Toys for Tots contribution. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yes,
so you can have a good steak, hang out with veterans. Great steak. Hang out with veterans and get back to Toys for Tots.
Absolutely. You don't have to be a veteran to come to steak night.
That was going to be my next question.
It's open.
Okay, good. And so if somebody they weren't a veteran, but they want to come in and support the mission and support what you guys do and have a great steak, they can do that.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. And again, guys, don't feel like when you walk in and just because you're not a veteran that you're going to get the stink eye or get cold shoulder or anything like that, because what you will find is one of the most welcoming groups on planet Earth. Absolutely. When you walk in, it'll probably be a contest to see who can get to you first, who can go over and hug your neck first, who can tell you thank you for coming, tell you thank you for supporting them. It is a welcoming environment. You don't have to feel awkward going. You don't have to feel weird. You just need to get over there and participate. I'm sure you guys, like most of the organizations, you need people, you need volunteers, you need support, you need all that kind of stuff. Right. And real quickly, what are some of the main needs of the American Legion? If I can't make it to steak night, but I want to support what you're doing, support your cause, what are some of the things that you guys kind of need in a nutshell, or
sure.
Just along those lines?
Can I tell a little backstory on the Legion first, if we got time? So this year is the 100th anniversary of the American Legion.
Wow.
It was formed right after 1919 in France, Paris, France, after their armistice. And it was the nation's first veteran service organization, wartime, organization. And I didn't understand that. I always thought the American Legion was, that's where all the guys go that can't join the VFW.
That's kind of what I was.
That's the false
perception.
Yes, sir. That's a false perception, and I've learned the error of my ways in that. And so it was the first wartime organization. Long story short of that, coming back now to 100 years later, there were dates that weren't combat dates, where there were veterans that weren't eligible to join because they weren't during those times of armed conflict.
Yes, sir.
So this past year, Congress passed it. We have to go through Congress to do this because it's a national, congressionally sanctioned organization.
Yes, sir.
And they did the American Legion for All Act, which opened up the aperture for those other folks. And I've called some of them that had told me before, hey, I can't join because, hey, come join now. We're here, we're ready for you. We wanted you before, but we couldn't. It's not our fault. It was a national thing, so it's been changed. So we're starting to bring them in too. One of the biggest things that the American Legion does from this post perspective for this community is Boys and Girls State. Okay. And that's where we take about a dozen boys and a dozen girls and we send them up to Austin and they learn government. How does government work? How do you run a campaign? It's very condensed.
I donated to this.
Yes, you did.
Yes, now that you said time, I forgot about that. Yes, sir.
So that's how we create the next generation of new great Americans. They come back so excited. They're kind of apprehensive going up, like leaving home maybe for the first time and living in a dormitory environment. And this really opens their eyes, and they come back and share that with their peers. Not everybody gets a chance to go to Boys and Girls State, but they come back and share it with their peers, and they get their peers excited about, I can actually have a voice. This is how this works.
Yeah, and that's, you hit something right there that people have a voice and they need to exercise it, and a lot of times they don't, and they're confused on where to go and they don't understand it, and a lot of that stuff when we're younger, you're not taught those things, and for all the schooling that we do, there's so much that we ignore. You don't know how to change a tire, you don't know about credit, you don't know much about politics. And it's kind of a rough deal. So I think that's amazing what you guys are doing, and when you started talking, I remembered because when it came up last time, I was like, I want to donate to that because it was a cool deal, and so that's awesome. And in addition to the 10 million things that you have going on there and all the different hats you're wearing, the American Legion, Steak Night, all these different things, you're also pretty busy in your private life and in your personal life giving back or preparing to try to give back and serve. And to just kind of cut to the chase a little bit here, Boom! You are also running for County Commissioner of Precinct 3, which, I will always encourage people to, if you have a voice, if you want to serve, if you want to, do it. You may win, you may not, but be part of it. And we're going to talk later, and we're going to get into this a little bit more, but, in a few minutes, what kind of made you want to obviously you served this community and the Crossroads and veterans, and what kind of made you want to take this next step and put yourself out there and really elevate yourself to a local leadership position?
Well, as you know, we're going to talk more later in depth, but the basic summary is I have a heart to serve.
Yes, sir.
And at the local level, local community, local politics, if you will, it encompasses the word politics. Unfortunately, politics gets a negative connotation, but politics is a positive thing too, because at the local level, that's where your voice can be heard. Your voice can have an effect on your life here.
Absolutely.
Your quality of life, how things affect you. It's not just about roads and bridges. There's a lot of things that happen at Commissioner's Court that affect your life directly and indirectly with taxes and other things. As you said, we'll talk more about that later. But that's where your elected representative for the county, not just your city council, but at a larger scale at the county level, can be your voice. Be available to hear your concerns and your recommendations. I'm not going to have all the answers. I need the people's voice. I want to be the voice for those people and how we can move ahead better, how we can be a better community as a whole.
Well, I think that is a brilliant point that you make about local elections, local politicians, local, all of that, because everybody's so concerned all the time with what the president is doing or what, there's a lot of levels that has to come down before, yes, sir, before it gets down to your everyday life, and the most immediate thing that will influence your day-to-day quicker than anything else are the local politics, are these local elections. They carry weight and they have consequences, good or bad, depending on who you put in there. And one of the things, I've seen some slight improvement in Victoria, but we don't have huge voting numbers. We don't, where it counts the most, there's not a ton of people that participate in the process. And then, people get mad and they everybody's mad if, things go this way or go that way. But yet they never step out and become a part of it, and they don't go to the voting booths, and they don't take the time to educate themselves. And sadly, I feel like a lot of people are willfully ignorant to stuff. And, the first thing I always say is, well, I hate politics. I hate politics. I don't wake up like, I love politics either, but this controls your life. It controls or not controls your life, but it influences your life. And a lot of things that are made at the local level will affect your life and your taxes and your bottom line and your household more than any decision the president makes, more than any of those things. And so, you need to be a part of it. And asking those questions and letting people know that are running for office, hey, this is what I feel, this is what I think. Talk to them, get to know them, and especially on the local level, it's your neighbor, it's your friend. It's, we were friends prior to this, and now you're running, and so it's, and it's a whole nother level of support that you need. But it's like you said, you don't know all the answers, but you want to hear from your community, and that's what these local positions do is they give a voice to our community. But if people aren't talking to you, you don't know what to say, and so
you gotta be approachable.
Absolutely, and you always have been, and I commend you on that, and I commend you for the fact that you see a need there, and you toss your hat in the ring, and it can go good, it can go bad. There will be positive, there will be negative, but I thank you for putting your neck out on the line, and because with all the good, there will come negative too, and so that's one of the things that I've never really understood about politics in general. It's okay, we may have different stances, but why do we need to destroy each other in the process to get to the finish line, And so I thank you, and we will have, coming up, we will have some more time to sit down, and I didn't want to shortchange anything, and I didn't want to have to rush past anything, because I think it's important to hear all of his ideas and what he brings to the table, and what he wants to do, and what he hopes to accomplish. And so we will be hearing more from him along those lines, especially as the election gets a little bit closer. But regardless, win, lose, anything, I want to sincerely thank you for putting yourself out there and doing it. And then in addition to everything else that you do, because long before you considered that, you were still busy serving and giving back, and so I'm grateful for that in the community. Now that I've kind of hijacked everything and talked a lot, do you have anything you'd like to get out, whether about the American Legion Steak Night, your campaign quickly? Is there anything you'd like to say on the way out the door to just kind of, let the public know before we say goodbye here?
So again, December 6th, that
Yes,
evening,
sir.
come on, Steak Night. December 7th, the next morning is Pearl Harbor Day. We'll be out there at the flag in front of the courthouse around 7:30. At 7:46 is when the first bomb hit.
Okay.
So we'll drop the flag to half-mast. Whoever's there will probably go to Halipaskis and have breakfast afterwards, things like that. Will be a great time. That night's the parade. We'll be in the parade, so look for our float.
Okay. Yes, sir.
The 14th, the 8th, December 8th, Quill Creek, I'll be at the Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay.
There for a meet and greet, 1:30 to 3. Come on
I've
by.
been out there to that crew.
Come
it's a
out.
good group
It's a
of guys.
good, yeah,
they
it's some good
are
peeps.
guys and ladies. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
It's a good group out there, and I've a few years ago I went and talked to all them too, and they'll keep you honest, they'll keep you on your feet. It's a good crew out there. The Quill Creek Volunteer Fire Department. They do a great job, and so my friend, thank you, thank you sincerely. I appreciate what you do, and so we got the events the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. So come to any of those. Cigar night or steak night on the 6th. The 7th was Pearl Harbor in the morning, and then the 8th was the Volunteer Fire Department in Quill Creek. Good
It's
deal.
all on my Facebook page. Go
Which
to my
is?
James Kurth for County Commissioner, Precinct 3.
Okay.
You can find me off just James Kurth Jr. and link to it or whatever, or go to my website, jameswkurthjr.com.
Good deal. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. Caleb Shaw, Shaw Realty, my friend James Kurth. Thank you for what you do in the community. This is News and Events with Caleb Shaw, Homes for Heroes. If you want to be in on these shows, please reach out, get to me so we can get you scheduled. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week, gang.